Is this the dagger?
G'day guys, JB here, and we have reached the end of the 2022-2023 NBA season and freshly crowned your 2023 champions, the Denver Nuggets, their first ever trip to the NBA Finals, their first ever NBA championship, 47 years since their entry into the league following the ABA merger. A huge shout out and congratulations to the Denver organisation, everyone involved there, and particularly the players and coach. A sensational closeout, a scrappy closeout, a really scrappy closeout. Certainly not one that was necessarily because of the defense, but certainly outlined because of the very much subpar jump shooting from both teams. But Denver getting it done off the back of some really hard work, really persevered, really fought it out. And at the end of the day, they were the team that made the most of that marathon slug. They were able to get across the line first. Let's get into it. Let's get into Game 5. 94-89, the final scoreline. Denver, as I mentioned there, getting the job done. A successful season for them. As I mentioned, they were the number one seed in the West. They were the number one seed in the West since December 20th. Held that mantle and managed to really push through things there to get the job done. First quarter was a really tight battle. Scoreline there was 24-22 in favour of the Heat, who jumped out with a massive first quarter. And that was a lot off the back of Bam Adebayo, who had 14 points, 6 rebounds there to go with a steal as well, 6 of 11 from the field. They just had every answer. Of course, the second run in that quarter belonged to that of Denver, and a big part of Michael Porter Jr., who clearly had his best game of the season, 7.7 rebounds to quarter time. Jokic in foul trouble, Gordon in foul trouble, Jamal Murray not able to get things done, and Jeff Green trying to contribute a little bit off the bench. The shooting, as we mentioned, really not great. Both teams combining 2 of 14 from the field. From deep, I should say. 1 of 6 respectively for the Heat and 1 of 8 for the Nuggets from deep. They were also pretty average from the field. Both sides really just jacking it up and hoping it stuck. 10 of 28 for the Heat, 10 of 24 for the Nuggets. That first run for the Heat looked like they were really going to try and send things back to Miami. All of a sudden, Denver really passing and cutting, getting back to what had worked for them, really trying to tighten the screws and things up there, really getting about the glass, and even battled pretty much on the glass, +2 to Denver, and that was purely the offensive rebounds there. But in saying that, 14 to the Heat, 4 offensive rebounds for them, 3 alone to Bam Adebayo, who clearly ended up being the best player for the Heat in this series. There's no doubt about it. And it was just that punch and go, backwards and forwards. Referees really not wanting any physical play amongst this one here, and it was sort of a patchy level of officiating, I would say, in that regard. Second quarter, very much the same as Denver. Just tried to claw their way back into this one, but the Heat managing to get a little bit of a run there. Jimmy Butler trying to get some production underway. His second best quarter really showing up. But Kyle Lowry, the big factor there, hitting some big shots. Duncan Robinson hitting some shots as well. Field goal percentage back in Denver's favour in this one, 10 of 20 for 50%. Meanwhile, it was the outside shooting that let them down, 0 of 7 from beyond the arc. The three-point shot just was not dropping for Denver. Meanwhile, Miami, 9 of 21, consistently around that 42-43% field goal for the entire series. But ultimately, they were just working a bit better with execution, limiting their turnovers by comparison, and getting it done defensively as well. And that's really what controlled them. That +5 lead at the half, they're just really, trying to work through things, as I mentioned there, through the first half. Bam leading the way, 18-9, and really didn't do much, unfortunately, for Bam. Not as much production out of him compared to the first quarter, and he really petered out after that. Unfortunately, he didn't have many people jumping on his back. Jimmy Butler to the half, only the 8 points, 2 of 8 from the field, seemed mildly passive. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Michael Porter Jr. slowed down, 9 and 8 at the half, a sensational half for him, but unfortunately, not many paying customers alongside of him. Jokic trying to do his bit, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists there, 6 points for Caldwell-Pope, who proved to be key down the stretch as well. The overall numbers there, Denver lifting 45.5 from the field, 38.8% for the Heat. 3-point bomb still failing to hit. Denver 1 of 15 from the field, 6.7%, and from the free throw line as well, 3 of 8. Meanwhile, the Heat just unable to control things. They led the turnover department as well, so they were lower on their turnovers. Field goal percentage didn't complement them, but just getting it done. Overall in this game, particularly for Denver, it was the worst offensive game by any team in the postseason. Any team in the postseason, they managed to secure a championship with it. So we'll get to that a little later on. But yeah, at the half, things just seemed to be leaning towards, of course, the big key, though, for Denver. They were +5 on the boards, so they were still active on the glass. They were still trying to do what they could do and try and be competitive in that front there. But just a really physical game style. Heading over to the third term, things starting to swing a little bit. Of course, a 6-point margin to Denver, changing the outlook of the game as well. Big key on that, once again, Michael Porter Jr., 7 and 5, very much like his opening quarter. And you can certainly make a case overall through 3 quarters. He was the best player on the court for Denver. I don't think there's any argument on that there, which is saying a lot for a guy who'd been benched during the series, a guy who looked unplayable, particularly in fourth quarters, and really just hadn't been able to find his niche. And I think Porter in this game has really showed what he can do. He can probably be a fourth option on this team, but he needs to be a grit and grind kind of guy, that second rebounding option, that relief scorer, slashing to the basket, playing some defense. Aaron Gordon trying to do what he could, but unfortunately nothing paying off, only the 1 point. Nikola Jokic lifting again. That quarter alone, 9 points, 6 rebounds. So started to use his size and impress on the glass. Meanwhile, for the Heat, no points for Jimmy Butler in the third term. Only 2 to Bam Adebayo. Gabe Vincent leading the way with 6. Obviously, percentages still down for both sides. Not a free throw for Miami in the third term, but field goal at that point, 9 of 26 in the quarter for the Heat. 9 of 22 for Denver, so 40.9% leads, 34.6, and sort of like being the tallest short person in the room. 2 of 10 from deep for the Heat, 2 of 8 for Denver, who started to try and hit a few things here or there, try and build a bit of a run, just weren't able to do it again. Leading on the glass was Denver, but the passing game still going to the Heat, the defensive side still going to the Heat, so it was a lot going on. Denver obviously a lot cleaner in the third, no fouls committed, but just one of those games where there really wasn't much going. It was a grit and grind, a physical game. It was really going to be a matter of what was going to happen. Your second chance points were 6 to 5 through 3 quarters. In the third quarter. Through 3 quarters at this point. 20 and 10 for Bam Adebayo, 12 to Max Strus. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Jokic 18, 14 and 4, 16 and 13 to Michael Porter Jr. That's ultimately what he finished the game with. Essentially did nothing in the fourth term, but through 3 quarters, 15 to 10, second chance points going to the Heat, points in the paint going to the Nuggets, fast break points going to the Nuggets. It was just one of those games going backwards and forwards. Heat led by 1. You could really sense they were going to need to do something in the third term if they were going to get the lead back and really secure things. The hot shooting hadn't been there for either side, but the field goal percentage wasn't complimentary to the Heat. Still 37.3%, getting it done at the line. Rebound battle at this point had been lost, and that was what was going to prove pivotal in the end in this fourth term. As we look over it here, 24 to 18, a 6-point difference, and leading the way, Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jokic. Butler with 13 points, but the only sign of life he showed in the entire game there. Tried to put the team on his back, but he was the only starter to score in that fourth quarter outside of Caleb Martin and Kyle Lowry. 18 points for the Heat, 13 of them to Jimmy Butler. And again, even then, there were just some real questions there. Heaved up that shot towards the end. One has to wonder whether we'd be talking about Miami stealing a game in Denver had he not taken such a shot. Overall, for the Heat, wasn't a complimentary quarter. 23.8 from the field, 5 of 21 in the fourth quarter, 3 of 10 from deep. And that was pretty much all it wrote for the Heat. On the other side of things, though, the best player on the planet took things into his own hands. 10 points in the fourth quarter. Really wanted to get everyone involved. Jamal Murray hitting a couple of nice shots there. Contavious Caldwell-Pope hitting a couple of nice shots. Bruce Brown doing his bit as well, but it was Nikola Jokic really saving the day there. And Denver, 9 of 18 from the field for 50%, 2 of 5 from deep. Won the rebounding battle, had the ball moving a lot better, played far better defense in the fourth term. When you're at home, championship teams stand up when they need to, and that's exactly what Denver did. Massive, massive game for the Denver Nuggets. A massive game overall from Nikola Jokic, really stepping up. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, big shots, big defensive play there. One of the best and crucial steals there just when Jimmy Butler looked to be losing his pivot in the lane. Throws the pass. Caldwell-Pope steals, gets the free throw, nails them. Huge, huge play by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. A guy that many thought the Lakers a few years back should not have been around that championship team. Well, it's just gone to show, really, he's a glue guy. You know, he's a guy that can be your fifth option. He's a guy that can pinch hit where you need it, can get things done, be a veteran. He's the only guy on that team that had a championship ring before here, and they were some of the best 642 that he has played in his entire career. Really narrowed that down. But Nikola Jokic, again, the standout player, the finals MVP, the big reason they won this game, getting it done. Final scores in this one, obviously going the way of the Denver Nuggets. They win their first championship, 94-89. Just to give you an idea in the overall game there, Denver 45.2 from the field, 17.9 from deep, 56.5 from the field, from the free throw line. But they did win the rebound count by 13. They did limit their fouls outside of that first term. Their defensive numbers overall ended up being far more complimentary than one would have thought, but at the end of the day, getting boards, ball movement, big shots, and the best player on the court gets the job done for the Heat. And mind you, let's just really look at this though, by the way. So Denver 38 of 84 from the field, 5 of 28 from deep, 13 of 23 from the line. On the other side of things, for the Heat, they were 34.4 from the field, 25.7 from beyond the arc, and 87.5 from the field. They still had 44 rebounds. You lose out to a team that has 57. They just had more defensive rebounds, made the right stops at the right time, particularly there in the fourth quarter. 33-96 from the field. We're talking 1940s, 1950s sort of shooting from the field there. 9 of 35 from deep. I mean, 5 of 28 is just as bad as well. Just a lot not going down for either side. Converted at the line, the limited options they had. Jimmy Butler finishes with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. I'd still take Bam Adebayo's game. He had 20 and 12, was clearly the best player for the Heat there. You had 12 points from Kyle Lowry, who tried to step up and hit some big shots. Caleb Martin, just unable to do his thing. But on the other side of it, though, and leading the way in the end, Nikola Jokic, 28 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 blocked shot, 12 of 16 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep, and he was 3 of 5 from the line. Aaron Gordon trying to chip in, but not able to get much done outside of the 4 points there. Had a really rough game. Michael Porter Jr. was the second option there, the guy that really kept the team together through that first half. 16 points, 13 rebounds, a sensational game by him. Of course, the only 2 starters to get more than 35 minutes on the floor were Jokic and Murray. Murray with 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. A rough night for him as well. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, as I mentioned, big in the fourth quarter, finished with 11 points, 10 to Bruce Brown, really pinch hitting there. The player of the game, the player of the series, the player of the playoffs, in one of the best playoff runs in the history of the league. Now, of course, the criticism is that he only faced teams of 45 wins. Fair criticism. But at the end of the day, it's not his fault that the best 2 teams didn't get out of the East. It's not his fault that the second seed, the third seed, and the fourth seed didn't make it through to the conference finals. You can only beat what's in front of you. And leading the team that was in front of him, or leading the team to the championship and beating all in front of him, was Nikola Jokic, the NBA Finals MVP. Of course, the Denver Nuggets beating the Timberwolves, the Suns, the Lakers, and the Heat. 4-1 in the first round to the Timberwolves. And again, I'm just going to quickly look over these teams, how they played, what they featured. You know, you really want to get a sense of this. 42 wins to Minnesota. They beat them in 5. Took overtime to lose to them. They beat the 45-win Suns. They beat them in 6. And it was genuinely the 2 best games that both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker played with one another all season. They then beat the Lakers, 43 wins. Swept them. Anthony Davis, LeBron James. Then they beat the Heat, who were 44 and 38. Yes, 44 and 38. And a team of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, a team that came from the 8th seed. And of course, they beat the Bucks 4-1, the Knicks 4-2, the Celtics 4-3. You think they should have swept them. So if your only criticism right now is the fact that the best team Denver beat was 45 teams, that's understandable. I respect that. I get that. You want them to prove against something else. But you need to look at Nikola Jokic, the player of the game, the finals MVP. dominant playoff run. One of the best playoff runs from an individual statistical standpoint of all time. Not an exaggeration. These numbers don't lie. The eye test didn't lie. First round against Minnesota, just a paltry 26.2 points, 12.4 rebounds, 9 assists, 48.5 from the field, 50% from deep, 70.6 from the line. Second round against Phoenix, 6 games. Averages 34.5 points, 13.2 rebounds, 10.3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 59.4 from the field, 44.4 from deep, 85.4 from the stripe. 5 out of 6 games, 1, 2, 3 triple doubles at that point. Through 2 rounds of the playoffs at that point. Was averaging 30.7 points, 12.8 rebounds, 9.7 assists, 54.9 from the field, 47.5 from deep, 78.7 from the line. That's through the first 2 rounds. Then we get to the conference finals. In a sweep, the Los Angeles Lakers averaged 27.8 points, 14.5 rebounds, 11.8 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, 50.6 from the field. They made him work a little harder. 47.1 from deep, 77.8 from the line. Against Davis and LeBron. Now, you want to include Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, you want to include Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Through 3 rounds of the postseason to the NBA Finals, he'd averaged 29.9 points, 13.3 rebounds, 10.3 assists on 53.8 from the field, 47.4 from deep, 78.4 from the stripe. To give you an idea, his true shooting percentage dropped by 10 points. And he was still, from the regular season that is, and he was still the best true shooter in the league. And then as the NBA Finals champion, in which they only lost 1 game by 3 points, his worst game saw him either score 40 points or have 23 and 12 with 3 steals, 3 blocks. To give you an idea, Jokic in the NBA Finals, 30.2 points, 14 rebounds, 7.2 assists. 58.3 from the field, 42.1 from deep, 83.8 from the line. Set the all-time single playoff run triple-double record. 3rd all-time in career playoff triple-doubles. For the NBA playoffs, he averaged 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. That's a rounded 30, 14 and 10. 54.8 from the field, 46.1 from deep, 79.9 from the free throw line. Dominant is the only way to describe it. 600 points. We'll get this one correct because this is just the level of dominance this man had. On totals in the postseason, Nikola Jokic finished with 10 triple-doubles, 600 points, 269 rebounds, 190 assists. To give you some context on these numbers, because it is historical, there's no doubt about it. I don't know anyone debating the historical achievement that is the statistical anomaly of Nikola Jokic. Let's just break it down. The 15th time that a player has scored 600 or more points in a winning postseason, alongside of Giannis in 2021, Larry Bird in 1984, Kobe did it twice, both 2009 and 10, Steph Curry last season, LeBron in 2012, Jordan in 92, 93 and 98, Kawhi in 2019, Shaq in 2000, both of Olajuwon's championships in 94, 95, and Dwayne Wade in 2006. Now, this is where we will get interesting, and I will get confirmation exactly on how good this was. Now, the current information I have was pre the win. So let's have a look as we go to the playoffs and we look at total points in the playoffs at 600. We're going to get the splits on this one here in field goal percentage, 2-point percent, 3-point percent with a minimum of 10 3-point attempts over. And of course, we're going to look at true shooting and effective field goal percentage. Now, to give you an idea, he is only, as far as players to score 600 points in a postseason and have 5 win shares, it's happened 3 times prior. He's the 3rd player to do it. Only 2 of them have resulted in wins, 1 to LeBron, 1 to Jokic. Now, We're going to look at this from the 600 point mark, of course. And we'll sort this. We'll go to criteria. And we'll sort this on points because I don't think people really understand how great it is. You can make a genuine case that this is the most efficient offensive postseason, not just points, but assists, because you've got to factor in the win in history. I even have an issue with saying that. If we have a look, at least 600 points, it's happened 26 times. Of those to win a ring, Jordan in 92, Kawhi in 2019, Olajuwon in 95, O'Neal in 2000, LeBron in 2012, Kobe in 2009, Jordan in 98, Kobe in 2010, Jordan in 93, Olajuwon in 94, Wade in 2006, Giannis in 2021, Larry Bird in 1984, we thin out, Kevin Durant in 2018, Steph Curry in 2022, and Nikola Jokic in 2023. So let's have a look at all of this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 times. 600. It is now 16 times a player has had 600 points in a winning postseason. Sorry, so not 15, 16 times that it has happened. Jordan did it. Now, did I miss anyone off there? I thought I must have. I did. I certainly missed Kevin Durant. So I apologise on that one there. Durant 2018. Now, let's rank them. We've got Jokic here. Let's look at field goal percentages. Jokic, third all-time on field goal percentage. Only Giannis in 2021 and Shaq in 2000 did better, scoring 600 points on field goal percentage. 2-point percentage has actually jumped. He's second, only behind Giannis. His 2-point field goal percentage, while scoring less points, obviously. Now, you've got to remember, he scored 107 less points, played 3 less games, and close to 210 less minutes. You'd have to play 70 more minutes a game. Second all-time in 2-point percentage. Let's look at 3-point percentage. Of everyone who have double-digit 3-point percentages, or 3-point attempts, it's the greatest all-time for people to score 600 points. It's better than Larry Bird. It's better than Steph Curry. In fact, your next closest on field goal... So, Jokic took 76 3-point attempts. Curry's the next closest when he took 229, 39.7%. Comparatively to Jordan, who took 72 in 93, 38.9%. So it's arguably the greatest 3-point shooting effort with bulk points in playoff history. We'll go free throw percentage. Of course, not necessarily greatest reflection there. Jokic down at 79.9. But it is better than Olajuwon in 94 and 5, LeBron in 2012, Giannis in 2021, and of course, Shaq, which was dismal, in 2000. So it's pretty much the best by any big man to score 600 points in finals history. We go to true shooting percentage, and it's not even close. Number 1 in true shooting percentage, 63.1%. He's the only bloke above 62% on true shooting. That's better than Kawhi. And of all people to get at least 60% true shooting, it's better than Kawhi in 2019, Bird in 1984, Curry in 2022, and better than Kevin Durant in 2018. And of course, when we look at effective field goal percentage, it is now number 1 all time. It's better than Giannis in 2021. It's better than Shaq in 2000. It's better than Steph last year. You can make a case it's the most efficient 600-point postseason in league history. Dominant. Now, compared to the games of everyone else here, second lowest. It is the second lowest. Now, this was with a projection as well that Jamal Murray may very well get close to that. He didn't. Jamal Murray was certainly on that edge. But Nikola Jokic, the second lowest amount of games to do it. Only Jordan played less with 19. Now, to give you an idea, Jordan played 1 less game and scored 66 more points. That's why there's levels to this, but that was 30 years ago. Massive levels to it. Jordan was playing more minutes per game, mind you. More shot attempts. Give you an idea of things on there. Of course, for field goals made, it is now the 4th lowest, as he took only Curry, Durant and Wade took less shots. That's as far as makes. As far as attempts, it is the lowest all-time on attempts. To have scored at 600, he scored 600 on the dot. We'll go over to free throws for some sort of comparative idea. The second, tied for second least amount of free throws made to do it. And the second least amount of free throw attempts to do it as well. So he's doing it with minimal amounts of shots and high efficiency. What more would you want? Now, of course, he grabbed 269 rebounds. So we will go and have a look at that one as well. Total rebounds for Nikola Jokic were at 269, so we'll handicap that at 260. It's only fair. We've got to be fairly comparative with this one as well. This is simply amazing, simply dominant. There's a level to this that people aren't really comprehending right now. Now, as far as winning seasons, obviously Wilt Chamberlain, the most rebounds ever in a winning season, 430 postseason, 437. Barely beating Bill Russell's 434. Just ridiculous, ridiculous efforts here. Of course, as we continue to go through everyone in a win or a losing season. Tim Duncan right up there, of course. Bill Russell always up there. Shaquille O'Neal right up there as well. A lot going on here in this rebound club, as we wanted to really just try and sort things out here, and that would be why we'll do that. Just try and make things a lot easier. Get started filtering that by points and go over the rebounds. He is just the second player ever with 600 points, third player ever with 600 points, 200 rebounds in the postseason. I do know that much. He joins Giannis and Shaq. So it's a lot going on there as we continue to scroll through everything here. We do have your Chamberlains, we have Russell, a lot of Bill Russell in here, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Shaquille O'Neal. We continue on through. Bill Russell, Ben Wallace makes an appearance. Bill Russell again. Can you hear that name in a while? Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Bill Russell, Bill Russell, Dave Cowens. A lot happening amongst all of these guys here. Bill Walton, Tim Duncan, Elvin Hayes. Still a lot. Kevin Garnett, Bill Russell, Giannis, Jokic. We continue to just look through everyone here, make sure we've dotted the I's, crossed the T's. So continuing on through there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22 occasions the player has grabbed 260 rebounds in a winning postseason. 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Was that 21? We'll double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Definitely 22. 22 players have grabbed at least 260 rebounds in a winning postseason. Now, for some comparative numbers here. As far as minutes, it is the lowest amount of minutes played by someone to achieve this. As we just confirmed that. Yep, since Bill Walton in 1977. The lowest minutes to achieve this since Bill Walton in 1977. And as mentioned, he's only the third player to have 600 points and 260 rebounds in a winning postseason, other than Shaq and Giannis. dominant by a big man. Huge. And of course, the assists, because he did that as well. Players with at least 190 assists in a postseason, which we will sort right now. Sensational stuff right here. It is rare that anyone has 190 assists in a winning season. Magic Johnson did it in 88, in 85, in 87. Drew Holiday did it in 2021. And no shock, Nikola Jokic did it this year. In a winning situation, in a championship winning situation, it's the most by a non-point guard, like most assists by a non-point guard in league history. It's the second most assists by a non-point guard in a postseason run in league history behind LeBron James. Of course, Magic did it 85, 87, 88. Drew Holiday did it in 2021. Nikola Jokic did it this year. Of course, Magic did it in 18 and 19 games respectively in 85 and 87. That's why he's the greatest point guard of all time. And on top of that, it's the fourth time anyone has ever been attributed with 5 win shares in a winning postseason, other than Tim Duncan in 2003 and LeBron James in 12 and 13. Even Jordan didn't do it. Even Russell didn't do it. Even Kareem didn't do it. Bird, Shaq, all those guys. There's only 3 of them on the list. Duncan in 03, LeBron in 12-13. Huge. And of course, we'll double confirm that so everyone knows what's going on. We will have a look. Number is really easy here. In an entire postseason, players to have 5 win shares attributed on an all-time scale, it is just the 6th occasion. LeBron James responsible for 3 of them. Tim Duncan, 5.9, holds the all-time record, and for the foreseeable future, LeBron James would have touched that had he had another game under his belt in 2012. Per game, LeBron definitely has that. It was a sensational series, a sensational postseason run there. Of course, Duncan still arguably the best postseason run of the 21st century. Of course, LeBron in 2013 and Jokic in 2023. So we haven't seen this level of play. We see this level of play in a postseason every 10 years. Level of dominance. Just an unprecedented level of dominance. So when you're going to add all of this up, the efficiency, the numbers, exactly what he achieved, it's very hard to deny just how dominant a postseason run Jokic has had. And again, happy to throw back to the 45-win team. But at the end of the day, they were the number 1 seed in the West. They did their job. The teams that didn't do their job were the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 seeds in the East, and the number 2 and the number 3 seeds in the West. He can't be held responsible for that. And yes, your argument is you're playing teams. I get that. I understand that. But for some argument's sake on that one as well, just to really try and clarify things a little further. The number 7 and 8 teams all season, or in the season, in the Lakers and the Timberwolves and the Heat and the Hawks, were the number 7 and 8 seeds as well in the postseason. So yes, play-in is one word to use it, but they were the teams. Nothing changes about them being the teams. Happy for people to argue the 45-win stuff. Great. I get that. I understand it. But no one in the history of the league has done what he has done this postseason. Mount an argument numerically against it, because the result shows. As he said, job's done. We can go home now. Your 2023 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. Your 2023 Bill Russell Finals MVP, Nikola Jokic. The best damn player on the planet. And for me, he's ascended right up into that discussion as one of the 10 best centers that the NBA has ever seen. That's been me, guys. I'm out.